For some people, the outdoors is a hobby. For others, it's a lifestyle. Torque wheels are built for the ones who chase sunrise on the water, track game through the timber, and spend weekends towing boats, campers, and ATVs to the next adventure. With a full lineup of wheel sizes and fitments for trucks, SUVs, vans, trailers, and RVs, Torque wheels are made to match your lifestyle and your rig. Wherever you go, whatever you haul, go with confidence. Visit torquewheels.com to find a retailer near you.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Welcome to DSC's Campfires with Larry Weissoon, a celebration of hunting, fishing, wildlife conservation, and the outdoor lifestyle. DSC's Campfires is brought to you in partnership with DSC, Conservation, Education, and Advocacy. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Taurus, makers of award-winning pistols and revolvers. Stealth Vision, high-tech precision hunting optics for today's hunter. Agar Cafe, elevated coffee, elevated life. Destination Hunts, your premier hunt advisor. Choctaw Hunting Lodge for some of the finest hunting in North America. And Double Nickel Taxidermy, preserving your memories.
July is the most interesting month in so many different ways, and guess what? I am at the JW Marriott in north part of San Antonio attending our Texas Wildlife Association, the 41st time that we've done this. Back in 1985, there were some things going on in Texas, and I got a call from a game warden that I knew very well, who happened to be the assistant director of law enforcement in Austin, Texas, saying, Larry, get your tail down here. There's some things going on you need to see about. So I called David Palmer, and David and I visited, and then I set up a meeting with the then director of wildlife, the wildlife division, called a couple of friends of mine, Gary Machen, Murphy Ray, and fortunately both of these gentlemen have passed away. You may recognize Murphy Ray's name from back when he and Al Brothers wrote a book called Producing Quality Whitetails. It really started off a lot of the whitetail interest there is here in North America. Now, you may have heard Gary Machen's name mentioned as well, too. Gary, back in the 70s, was on the All-American trap and skeet team and actually ended up winning, got into competition shooting for live pigeon shooting, and won the world championship live pigeon shooting for 5 years in a row. So anyway, these two guys were dear friends of mine, and I called them and I said, hey, I've got a meeting set up in Austin. Would you two guys go with me and let's visit about kind of what's going on there and figure out if there's something we can do. So we drove to Austin, the three of us, and went in the No Name building and were greeted by the director of wildlife at the time, and basically he said, guys, I really don't have any time for you right now. He said, go down to room 232. He said, I'll come down there whenever I can get away and whenever I've got time for you guys. So Gary and Murphy and I walked down to room 232, and guess what? It was a broom closet. A broom closet. And I think the director of wildlife, who both, particularly Murphy and I, had known when we worked for the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, thought it was funny. So he shows up a little bit later, and he says, guys, he said, I'll tell you what, he said, there's nothing you three can do to cause any changes. We're looking at doing this, and this is what we're going to do. And so, you know what, we left there and we stopped at a Jim's restaurant on the way home from Austin, heading back to Southwest Texas. And we created a list of 50 landowners, called those. I called Charlie Schreiner IV, who was involved very much with the YO Hilton. His dad and his his three brothers, and I asked if we could set up a meeting room there, and so we set the meeting room up. We got together. 49 guys showed up. The 50th guy who called said, I can't quite make it. He was a friend of mine. He says, I got to go to a funeral, but as soon as I get back from that funeral, I'll be there. So the 50 of us created what became the Texas Wildlife Association. That was in 1985, and we're on our 41st year. And for those of you who don't know about Texas Wildlife Association, whether you live in Texas or not, we have been kind of the oh gosh, you found that a lot of states have kind of fashioned something very similar to what we're doing. Now, just to give you a few little highlights about TWA, we also helped form the Texas Youth Hunting Organization. And to date, from the time that we started, thanks to the landowners and a lot of volunteers, we have taken just a few shy of 50,000 youngsters on their first deer hunt, their first hunt. And each one of them had to have a parent or guardian with them. So a lot of times the parent or guardian, like the children or the kids, had never hunted before. So I guess when you look at it that way, we've introduced almost 100,000 people to hunting. Now, will all those continue hunting in the future? Probably not. But you know what? They've got a much better understanding about hunting and how important hunting is about to just about anything having to do with wildlife, from an economic value and all those other things. Two, we created a legacy program, if you will, that teaches children in schools. Now, we've been able to, particularly here in Texas, where I live, to integrate different programs and as far as instruction to teachers about wildlife. And just in 1 year, just this last year of 2025, the impact of what we had on school children was like, I think, 1.2 million school children who are learning about wildlife. And so that's kind of where we are right now. We've got a great oh my gosh, we got one of the best teams we've ever had when it comes to the different programs that we have. And if you're interested, I would strongly suggest, even if you don't even care about Texas, look to see what we've been able to do in Texas through our landowners, through our hunters, through our Texas Wildlife Association, and the many things that we do. Please go to our website, and that's www.texas-wildlife, WILDLIFE.org. And I think when you go through there, you'll be impressed. We'd love to have you as a member, even if you don't live in Texas. There's so many good things that come out of TWA that if you're interested in wildlife, be it from a hunting perspective or just from a non-consumptive perspective, that I think you can garner there and utilize to really help with what you may be doing in your state, and just to get a better understanding, too, about the many things that you as an individual can do. So really appreciate that, because I said our convention is going on in July through the 11th, I guess, 9th, 10th, and 11th. And if you missed it this year, please consider coming, or at least bidding on the many items that are going to be going up for sale here tonight or tomorrow night, and on the 10th and 11th, and including a gun that's been in my collection, if you will, a Savage Model 99 that I did a little bit of embellishing on by doing some drawings that were laser engraved along with my signature and the TWA logo. It'll be up for sale. And then one of my brown hats, my favorite brown hat that I've worn for, oh my gosh, on several different places, from Africa to Europe to Asia to Australia, and of course all over North America here as well, and probably even in New Zealand, as I remember correctly, as well too. So it's going to go up for sale tonight. So sorry you missed it, but no telling what we'll have next year and all the other things. You know, the thing about it is we're landowner based when you get right down to it, landowner and sportsman based organization, and a lot of the hunts and trips that we offer, you could only get onto that property if you were a poacher or a guest of the landowner, because otherwise you would be considered a poacher. So all those kind of things are here. And again, please go to the website and learn more. Now, coming up in the July 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th, we've got the DSC Summer Expo. It's going to be held at the Gaylord Texan Resort there in Grapevine, Texas, all under one roof. And I can tell you, folks, it is an absolute fantastic event. So many things going on there, and want to invite you there. There's still time to get there. You can, good gosh, we'll have over 400 booths there. I think somebody said 800 maybe even. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and check, but I know it's a great show from people coming in from all over the world, and so many different things going on there as well too. It really makes no difference whether you're a 4-year-old or whether you're a 104-year-old. We'll have things going on for you throughout the day, and of course at night we've got some auctions, and then the night of July the 25th. We've got our DSC Foundation Gala coming up, and that is our annual fundraiser. And one of the things we'll be doing there this year, too, is awarding the Legacy Award to Mr. Steve Hornady. Steve and his family have done so much for wildlife. It is absolutely amazing, all the things that they have done. And hopefully we can get Steve on a little bit later here on one of the shows, or maybe one of the video things I'm going to tell you about here in just a little bit, and maybe have him tell about some of his adventures and all those other kind of great things. But really would love for you to be there. Now, if you can't be there, and there's so many great items coming up for auction there as well too, and it's a great way to support wildlife conservation, particularly through DSC Foundation. Last year, where I served as an advisor, previously served as on the board of directors. Last year, we granted like $1.2 million to extremely highly vetted projects dealing with wildlife conservation and wildlife education. Those are the two things that we tend to go after. And you can learn more about it by going to our website, dscf.org. And if you're out there and you happen to be involved in a conservation effort or a wildlife conservation education effort, you're welcome to put in for a grant. That grant, we'll go through it very, very closely, but who knows? Your business, or rather your organization, or an individual that's really doing a lot, or an individual group, you might be able to get a grant from DSC Foundation as well too. But again, if you're can't be there, July 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, my gracious, it's going to be a good one, let me tell you. So look forward to having you there. We're right on the verge of it, and my gosh, there's still a few days left. So go to onlinehuntingauctions.com and go to the DSC little logo and the DSCF logo. And, I know we've talked about some of this stuff last week, but I do want to reiterate how important this is, because, gosh almighty, we really need you there. And we need you a member of DSC. DSC is the finest, best organization there is when it comes to anything having to do with wildlife conservation. It's a fabulous organization, and the leadership, as I talked to you about last week, is the finest that we've had. And oh my gosh, and I can remember, many years ago, Gray Thornton, who moved over to the Wild Sheep Foundation. Gray was our executive director and CEO at DSC, and it really kind of brought that organization onto the map. And we've had some good people in between, but let me tell you, the guy we have there right now, Russell Stacy, who is our CEO of both the DSC organization and DSC Foundation. Russell's been involved with both organizations now for a long time, and he knows the ins and outs, and he's got great friends in the industry, talking about the outdoor industry, and very, very well respected there. Between his wife, Mary Edith, and his daughter, Kaylee, they have done a lot of hunting. They've done a tremendous amount of work for wildlife conservation, and by golly, please be there if you can. And if you can't, please get on to onlinehuntingauctions.com and support the DSC Foundation and support DSC for all the great things that they do. And again, you can learn more there about them, either organization. With DSC, it's www.biggame.org, and then the DSC Foundation is dscf.org. So learn more about them and become involved. A lot of things going on in July. Among other things, in July, I will be just about good Lord willing, I'll be about a year shy of 80 years old. Now, I think of myself as about a 40-year-old and kind of act that way in a lot of different ways and things I do. I'm involved in so many different things and love every moment of it. I've been so very blessed over my life to be involved in wildlife and be involved with some of the finest people in the world. And that happens to be hunters, fishermen, landowners, and just people who are very much involved and love wildlife and love wildlife conservation and understand it. And you've heard me say this before. There's wildlife conservation and there's wildlife preservation. Conservation promotes life. That's the wise use of, and it takes into consideration habitat, all the species that are out there, from the littlest ones to the largest ones. Preservation is a very tunnel vision toward one particular species, not paying attention to how that species impacts all the other things that are out there. So, I look at myself as a wildlife conservationist because I very much believe in the wise use of wildlife and habitat and to make it better and stronger for all species, not just one that's picked out. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about the reintroduction of wolves and the reintroduction of grizzly bears. Quite frankly, I think grizzly bears should be reintroduced all throughout the great state of California. If you look on the flag, guess what's there? It's a grizzly bear. And I tell you what, those folks over around Los Angeles and maybe Sacramento and a few of those other big cities, they're the ones who talk about they want to make sure that there are grizzly bears around. Well, I think we ought to go in and release them into those communities to where they were there. I mean, that was an endemic area for grizzly bears. If you go back and look at some of the old paintings of many, many years ago, where Los Angeles now exists, that was ranch country, and you see cowboys roping grizzlies, and you read about accounts of all the grizzlies that were in the area prior to the exportation, the removement of grizzly bears from the area. So, maybe that would be an ideal place to release grizzly bears if you really want to do that, to perpetuate the bears, put them back where they started from. And I'm saying that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but there's also wisdom in that, is that the people who are the most vocal about not putting grizzly bears back on the game species list, that's where they live, and they don't deal with it, and they don't know anything about, essentially, when you get right down to it, wildlife management, wildlife conservation, or anything about the species that they often tout about. So, get involved. That's where you need to be involved with DSC, and there's a bunch of other organizations out there as well, too, that do an absolutely fantastic job. But none of them quite measure up based on my opinion, and my opinion is formed by having worked with a whole lot of the other one, both internally, peripherally, and from the way outside. There is no finer organization when it comes to conservation than wildlife conservation, that is, than Dallas Safari Club, or now going more by DSC. Now, if you've listened to this podcast for a while, you know that I'm involved in so many different things. Well, I've started a couple of new ventures as well, too, that I may have told you about, but I'm going to tell you about them again because I think they're worthwhile. For years, I've been doing now DSC's Campfires with Larry Weissoon as an audio podcast. And I decided rather than doing more audio podcast, I was going to start doing a bonus video podcast. Now, these will be from the field. And you've heard me talk about this the last time. So I'm going to, just to reiterate everything about it, I'm going to tell you about it again this week. And but it's a DSC's Campfires with Larry Weissoon, a video version of it. And it's going to be available as a bonus at least once a month, twice a month. I think we just released the second one this month in July. As we get into hunting seasons, you're going to see more of those. They're going to be anywhere from about 10 to maybe 20, 30 minutes long. Actual real life going on. Now, the first one was about just kind of a tour of my office and talking about one of my brown hats. It was just to kind of get the ball rolling. The second one I did with Joe Cunningham with Stealth Vision Optics. And with Stealth Vision, I had Joe talk a little bit about hunting. You're hunting at 600 feet and you're going at 10,000 feet. What do you do? And how do you deal with that? So had Joe talking about that and some of the things they're doing with Stealth Optics, and we've got some more stuff planned in the near future. We'll probably do some. You'll see me do some maybe from our Texas Wildlife Association convention. I don't want this to be talking heads. I want it to be something with a lot of meat to it that is entertaining, that'll hold your attention, and maybe you'll learn something, but hopefully in the process of it, you'll be entertained as well. So as we hit into some of the hunting seasons and the fishing things that I've got planned, we're going to show you the same thing as it happens. And in a way, it's going to be kind of like a mini real-life TV show, kind of like what we do with A Sportsman's Life that I am a co-host with Jeff Rice and Luke Clayton, that's on YouTube with the same name, A Sportsman's Life, and then also on Carbon TV. And since we mentioned those two networks, if you will, the video podcast that I'm doing is going to be pretty much exclusively done about, maybe 3 different places. And one of those is on YouTube, and it's going to be called it's already there, it's called Larry Weissoon's Campfires. And you can go to YouTube and plug that in or type it in, and you should be able to see those. Then same thing with Carbon TV. We're going to be releasing our video podcasts at Carbon as well too, as a bonus to our weekly podcast. I almost said radio because I do a weekly radio show with Luke Clayton. I've been doing so for 20 plus years. That's turned into a podcast called Catfish Radio with Luke Clayton and Friends. And that too can be found in terms of podcast and audio podcast just about anywhere, just about like this one that you're listening to, whether you're listening to it on Spotify or waypointtv.com, Outdoor Action, even the YouTube channel that I have for just the audio portion of this, and that's Campfires with Larry Weissoon. You can hear it there, but you can hear this podcast so many different places. I would ask you to please go to the source that you get it to, you listen to, and mention it to others. But also, if you could, please rate it, if you will. Now, again, going back, the audio podcast is going to be available all those places. The the digital portion is going to be available through YouTube at Larry Weissoon's Campfires, Carbon TV, the Patreon site that I have, which is Patreon/MR Whitetail. So you can probably see it there as well too, and who knows, maybe eventually we'll make it available on my website, which is www.larryweissoon.net. And since I mentioned that, you can go there. I do a lot of blogs, a lot of short stories, all those kind of things. Those can be found there on that website. And I have to tell you about something else. I've been very fortunate here recently. I've done a lot of things as a guest on several different shows, including Mike Arnold's Bringing Back the Wild, and did one with Hunter's Advantages, the Southern Outdoorsman, and all those kind of things lately. And I understand they're showing up a lot of different places. So one of the things that I've started too is on TikTok, and I honestly knew very little about it, about TikTok, but I thought, what a great place to just do little short stories, like, maybe up to 5 minutes in length, to where I tell a tale about some of the hunts that I've been on, or some of the interesting things that have happened, and in most instances, those kind of turn into a humorous thing. I'm also going to get together with several of my friends, and I've been fortunate to have made a lot of friends and acquaintances in the outdoors. And I'm going to have them tell some of their humorous tales as well there too. Those are not going to be anything, shall I say, regular, not every week, but some weeks there may be 3 or 4 of them. Other weeks when I am busy out on a hunt or something, it may be a couple of weeks before you get a fresh one. But in every instance, I'm going to try to have something at least once a week, and that is on TikTok. It's LW's Whitetails, and Whitetails is spelled WHITETALES. So be looking for that. I'm trying to get to where we've got something in just about every avenue that we can have anything with having to do with social media, and to hopefully try to entertain you. But in the process of entertaining, I'll always try to figure out something that I can throw into the mix where you can glean maybe a little bit of information to become a better conservationist, wildlife conservationist, become a better hunter, a better fisherman. And you're even welcome to steal some of my stories and make them your own if you want to, particularly if they're humorous and you find them that way. I'd honestly be honored if you did so. That'd be a great form of flattery as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, getting back to my hotel room, I'm sitting here in the JW Marriott getting ready to go back to the TWA convention, which is actually just starting this afternoon, visit with the 80-some-odd booth spaces that we have, and got a few things going on this evening, and then we'll have our meetings and our banquets each night, and then I look forward to seeing as many of you as possibly can at the DSC Summer Show, and this hopefully will air the week of the July 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, and you'll get an urge for the last moment to go to onlinehuntingauctions.com and start bidding there, because the thing about it is our organization is a 501(c), and so there are certain tax benefits about bidding for and buying the items that are available through our different sources that we have. I think you're gonna. I'd love for you just to go to if nothing else, just go look to see what's available there. And I think once you see what's available there on the online hunting auctions for DSC and DSC Foundation, you probably want to go and sign up to where you can bid. And that is a truly safe website that you can truly, and it's secure in every way. We use those guys, online hunting auctions here at TWA and DSC Foundation and several other organizations that I'm involved in, and they've done a great job for us all the way through. So you can go there live. I'll be there. You can probably hear some of it and look to see what the bid is. I'll be up on the stage both Friday and Saturday night. We'll have been at TWA here, and then I'll be in the audience kind of jacking with people on the 23rd, 24th, and 25th there at DSC and DSC Foundation. Remember, go to my different sites. I'm on Larry Weissoon as Facebook, as Instagram, and also on LinkedIn. Got a lot of things going on there. Got the TikTok thing with LW's Whitetails. That's spelled TALES at the end. The audio, as far as podcast on Spotify, iHeart, Apple, Carbon TV, Waypoint TV, what else? A whole bunch of other places. And I mentioned too the YouTube site for that, just for the audio, is Campfires with Larry Weissoon. And then the video bonus portions you can find at Larry Weissoon's Campfires. So please join us, rate us where you can, tell your friends about us, and next week where we're at the DSC Foundation, I have got several plans set up to visit with all kinds of great people who I think you'll find as superb guests and be tickled to hear what they've got to say. But for the time being, look forward to catching up with you down the way, and look forward to you joining me around the campfire again right here next week. Thank you so very much for being with me.
DSC's Campfires has also been brought to you by the Crown Bar in LaGrange, Texas, Texas Wildlife Association, Habit, Our Gear, Your Adventure, Double Nickel Taxidermy, and Burnham Brothers Game Calls.